I'm Shalane from TSC Tuition, and this is the first of 4 videos on 4 different persuasive techniques or devices. Today we are talking about anecdotes, specifically personal anecdotes. So let's define what an anecdote is first. Simply put, an anecdote is a story, a real life story, that a writer or a speaker or the creator of a text chooses to tell the audience. It is a recount or a narrative of something that happened or a little bit of personal detail about a particular person that the audience does not know. So for example, if the issue is about the closure of a factory, the author might choose to tell an anecdote about Sarah, who is a single mum who's worked at the factory over the last 10 years. Now, the author might choose to give you a little bit of information about Sarah, about her personal life, maybe how old her son is, how long she's worked there for, the kinds of friends she's made there, how the job has supported her financially, supported her and her son financially. So these kinds of details, or any kind of recount or narrative sort of storytelling details, that we would count as an anecdote. So a personal anecdote is a story or a recount or a narrative kind of retelling that an author or the speaker chooses to tell about their own personal life. Now, I have an example here from an ABC News opinion article written by Stan Grant. The link to the article will be down in the description box, so read along with me. Now, this is an article about the Voice referendum, and this is, I'm reading from sort of the first 3 parts of the article. And he writes, I am writing this from my country, Wiradjuri country. I am at home with my parents. So immediately we can see that he's telling you something personal from his own life. He's telling you where he is writing this article. He's telling you who's in the same location, in the same building as he is, what kind of building this is. He is at home with his parents. And then he continues, together they have survived the worst Australia can throw at them. I say survived because some in their families have not. They died far too young. They have been taken from their families. They've been trapped in poverty. They've been abused and neglected. Mum and dad are old. Dad is not well and needs constant support. That's why I'm here. It is why my children, my siblings, my cousins are always here. This is what we do. This is who we are. So here Stan Grant is giving us a lot of information about where he is at this particular time and why he is here, and also a little bit of background information about his family as well. Now, it is always worth asking yourself when we come across, right, a persuasive technique such as a personal anecdote, why would the author choose to tell me this? Right? Because this is an article about the Voice referendum, right? This is an opinion article about the Voice referendum. What does this serve? Now, this article in the end is, it is an opinion article, but it's also very reflective. It's reflective of his feelings and his emotions, very conflicting sort of emotions as, we come up to the referendum, which is, understandably a very emotionally charged issue for many Australians. And we see that towards the end of the article, or the end of this opinion column, that he is really going to advocate, right, for a yes vote on the referendum, for a voice to Parliament. Now, so given that this is his sort of overall stance, I think it's worth sort of looking at the article and realizing that, he is not sort of laying out like a 3-point argument for a yes vote. It is very much a reflective journey on their experiences as, Indigenous Australians, their experience as a family, his experience as an Aboriginal man or a Wiradjuri man. So it's worth keeping that in mind when we look at the beginning of this article, given that he is going to go on and, a very reflective emotional journey throughout this article. Why would he start here? Right, and it's worth thinking also about the audience of this article. Now, this was published in the ABC News, and So we can deduce from there that we can assume that this is he's writing for an audience of probably professional, white collar, adult Australians who are a little bit left leaning in their politics, probably well educated and well aware of many social issues as well. So when he starts this article by describing who he is, where he is, who's with him, why are they there, right? Why are all his cousins and siblings there? A little bit of background information about his family in particular, it is worth connecting all those dots, right? So it is worth connecting. Well, if the primary aim of a personal anecdote is to make the author more relatable to the audience, he's probably realized that his audience is not Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, right? And therefore he has to start with this anecdote that makes him more relatable, makes him more like a real person, someone we might know in real life. And starting from there, creating that relationship between his audience and himself, he can then take the audience through this reflective, emotive journey through his thoughts, right? As he gets to the end of that article where he sort of implicitly advocates for a yes vote. So, how would we write this? Now, assuming that we are going to write about this use of personal anecdote in a body paragraph, not in the introduction, and that in the body paragraph we've already talked about sort of the main argument or the main point of this section of the article, I might write something like, Grant anecdotally describes the physical location from which he writes as my country, and that he is at home with my parents who have suffered from being trapped in poverty, abused, and neglected. His vulnerable disclosure of his family's trauma to his audience of non-Indigenous Australians is designed to bridge the cultural gap between them and frame Grant and his family as relatable people. Now, notice that I've broken it down into sort of two parts so far. One is identifying the technique or device and providing the quotes, and then I moved on to describing the initial effect, right? That he is vulnerably disclosing his family's trauma to the audience and, you know, what this is supposed to do, right? Bridge cultural gap, frame them as relatable people, and then I want to talk about the why. Why would he want this kind of effect? So I might write something like, through his use of a personal anecdote at the beginning of the article, Grant prepares his audience of well-educated readers. So notice that I've named two different kinds of readers here, non-Indigenous Australians and well-educated in the same part. Grant prepares his audience of well-educated readers to sympathise with him as he grapples with the multiple issues with a voice referendum later in the article. So there I've sort of broken it down into the three parts, right? Lots of teachers will describe this as the what, how, and why. So what is it? The anecdote, the technique, the quote, and then I want to talk about, well, kind of like a how, in terms of like what is it doing, what is it designed to do, right? Bridging gap, making him more relatable, and then the why. Why would the author want this kind of effect on the reader? So I hope that was helpful. As always, like and subscribe to all of our social media channels so that you can be updated on when we drop new content. We also have a newsletter for parents and tutors looking for advice and strategies to help their teens in their English subject. So make sure you subscribe to that mailing list. And you might want to visit our shop as well for our vocabulary expansion packs. If you're after some one-to-one individual tailored support, please contact us and let's have a chat and see how we can support you. Thanks for watching.